We're used to the idea of great works of art being reproduced, but how about great bottles of wine? Science is helping to replicate some of the world's most popular vintages by closely studying their flavor profiles in the lab and then selling them at a reduced price. Barry Petersen has the story.
Wine is bottled poetry, wrote Robert Louis Stevenson. But for this story, blend in a little Shakespeare, who once said, "What's in a name?" The name here is replica, as in replicas of famous wines, made to taste the same, but easier on the wallet. Ari Walker is the CEO of Integrated Beverage Group, maker of replica wines.
What would the replica version of a $50 wine cost?
$20.
Wouldn't I know it when I taste it?
No, you wouldn't know it when you taste it.
Traditional winemaking begins with the grapes, but replica begins in this Denver laboratory. Here, famous name wines they want to replicate are analyzed down to parts per billion, overseen by Sean Callan, Director of Operations and Quality.
There are a lot of chemicals in wine, and they can tell us a lot of different things.
And these chemicals tell us things like what?
Well, things
aroma,
like
taste.
Yeah, both taste and aroma. So these chemicals, your brain will tell you smell a certain way, or they taste a certain way. And we're able to map it out and say, this wine is this buttery, this oaky, has notes of green apples in it, has a certain amount of dryness to it, the heat from the amount of alcohol.
Callan and his team create a chemical map of the distinctive flavors and aromas. Then Replica mixes its grapes to match the analysis and has their chief wine officer, Master Sommelier Brett Zimmerman, check out the result the old-fashioned way, by tasting it.
So you're not involved in the chemistry, you're involved in assessing.
I finalize the flavor profile and make sure. I mean, if we're analyzing stuff in a lab and the winemaking team is really close and they say, hey, we've got 3 or 4 different blends that we think are really, really close, I'm the final say as to, does the wine taste great?
Zimmerman invited me for a blind taste test. Which was the replica? Which was the original? It was a wine talk moment.
So in terms of the real versus the replica, would it have all of those things you just described? The tannin taste, the dry taste, the taste of flowers and fruit and things like that?
Both of these wines have all of those elements, yes.
With my less developed palate, I could tell one wine was different from the other, but I wrongly picked the replica as the original.
What I can tell you is we've spoken with thousands of consumers around the country about our wines, and the reaction is just overwhelmingly positive.
The truth is in the tasting. So to find out, we invited some friends and neighbors to our home here in Denver, Colorado, to tell us if they like the replica or the real. We matched the original to its replica counterpart, using our costs for the real wine and replica's suggested prices for theirs. The first, Chardonnay, Far Niente, versus the replica called Per Semper. Our tasters tally, 5 for the real, only 2 for replica.
Which one do you like?
I like the real one. The replica doesn't have much taste.
Rombauer Chardonnay against replica's retrofit. 6 preferred the real, only 1 the replica.
The Rombauer I thought was a lot better. It went down a lot smoother than the replica.
Then Meiomi Pinot Noir and replica's Misbehaved. A clear victory for replica, winning 4-2 with 1 tie.
Yeah. The closest so far.
Yeah, I agree.
Finally, The Prisoner against replica's Pickpocket. 6-1 for the real thing. The replica just didn't match up.
I feel like this is not as smooth. Didn't come all together for me.
But some of our tasters said they would still buy the replica because it cost less. And that's the point, says sommelier Zimmerman.
So you're not really aiming to make the Rolls-Royce of wines. You're really much more in like the Subaru Ford of wines that most of us would buy and take home at night for our friends.
I mean, it's a perfect analogy.
A Roman author once wrote, "In wine there is truth, but it's wine buyers who will finally decide if truth really can be had at half the price." For CBS This Morning Saturday, Barry Petersen, Denver.
Barry didn't fool me. That was a ticket to a party.
He threw a wine party at home with his friends and family. Yeah, on the CBS dime.
I am so torn by this. I love wine, and I love the idea that you could find something cheaper, but knowing two of those wines really well, I find it hard to believe that I would take the cheaper over that taste, because I know that taste so well.
We needed a blind taste test.
Exactly. It seemed tainted.
Hey, if it's cheaper, though, that could work.
What are you going to do?
I like it.